Hello and welcome back everyone for the next session of human health and diseases. Last time we studied structure of antibody, formation of antigen antibody complex, antigens on blood cells, ABO blood group and Rh factor. Today, we'll study some common human diseases. Disease, I already told you in the first lecture. If you want to define disease, you can define it as body not at ease. There are two types of diseases, congenital and acquired. Congenital diseases are present by birth, whereas acquired diseases develops after birth. Congenital diseases causes genetic abnormalities or metabolic disorders. It may be permanent and it is incurable. But thanks to modern science, due to modern research, now we can cure some of the congenital diseases through gene therapy or enzyme replacement therapy. Acquired diseases can be of two different types, that is, communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases. It is also called as infectious and non-infectious disease. Communicable diseases are called infectious diseases and non-communicable diseases are called non-infectious diseases. Communicable or infectious diseases can be transferred from one person to another. But non-communicable or non-infectious diseases cannot be transferred from one person to other. As communicable is transferable disease, so it requires pathogens. It is caused by pathogen. There are different types of pathogens. We already studied. It can be virus, bacteria, fungus, worm, etc. And non-communicable is not transferred, so it does not require pathogen. Example for communicable or infectious disease is malaria. You can say common cold. And nowadays, we all are suffering from COVID-19, that is corona. Non-communicable diseases or non-infectious diseases involve cancer, deficiency diseases, etc. Now, as we have to study about communicable disease, so we must know about pathogens. What are pathogens? Pathogens are disease-causing organisms or disease-causing agents. There are many pathogens present in our environment. But many of the pathogens, they need another organism to reach the body of host, that is human being. That another organism which is required by pathogen is called vector. So vectors are those organisms which help pathogens to transfer disease into human body. These vectors are actually parasites. What are parasites? Parasites are those animals which live either on the body of host or in the body of host, and they derive their nutrition from the body of host itself. There are two types of parasites. I told you whether it can live on the body or in the body. On that basis, two types of parasites are there. They are ectoparasites and endoparasites. Ectoparasites are those which lives outside the body of host, and endoparasites are those which lives inside the body of host. Example for ectoparasites: bedbugs, leech, and of course mosquitoes. Examples for endoparasites: Ascaris, Plasmodium. Now we have to study some pathogenic diseases. The first disease we will start today is malaria. Many of you might have been infected by malaria. What is malaria? It is a vector-borne infectious disease. It is caused by protist, that is Plasmodium. There are 4 species, different species of Plasmodium which causes malaria. First species is Plasmodium vivax. You can see on your screen. This is Plasmodium vivax. It is rarely fatal. Second is Plasmodium ovale. This is also rarely fatal. Third one is Plasmodium malariae. This is also rarely fatal. And last and fourth species is Plasmodium falciparum. This is the dangerous type of malaria because it causes serious illness. It may lead to damage of your brain. Now coming towards the signs and symptoms of malaria. Symptoms of malaria begin to appear about 7 to 15 days after the bite of infective mosquito. There are 2 different types of symptoms. First is initial symptom. Initial symptoms includes fever, headache, and chills. But these are very common symptoms, and these symptoms can be seen for some other diseases also. Therefore, it is difficult to recognize from initial symptoms that the disease is actually malaria. In order to get confirmation, there are another symptoms. Those symptoms are classical symptoms. Classical symptoms include cyclic fever followed by sweating and sudden shivering, which lasts for 4 to 6 hours and recurs every 2 to 3 days. It also includes vomiting, convulsions, arthralgia, that is your joint pains, anemia, hemoglobinuria, that is in your urine there will be presence of hemoglobin. That means normally a urine appears yellowish in color, but due to hemoglobinuria, now the color of urine will change and it will be reddish in color. Then it includes hepatomegaly, that means enlargement of liver takes place. It also includes retinal damage in some cases and cerebral malaria or brain infection in some cases. These were certain classical symptoms of malaria. This indicates that the person is suffering from malaria. Now, modes of transmission. This malaria is transmitted through an insect vector, that is female Anopheles mosquito. This is caused only by female Anopheles mosquito and not by male. Reason: female mosquito feeds on blood of human being. When a Plasmodium infected mosquito bites a human, it releases sporozoites into the body of host. These sporozoites travel to the liver, where they infect liver cells, that is hepatocytes, and multiply asexually, forming merozoites. These merozoites rupture liver cells and escape into bloodstream. Now there in blood, merozoites infect RBCs, where they develop into ring form, trophozoites, and then divides asexually to form schizoids, which in turn produces large number of merozoites. The RBCs ruptures and releases toxins throughout the body, bringing about fever and chills. Some merozoites in RBCs develops into gametocytes. These cells form both male and female gametocytes. RBCs having gametocytes do not rupture. They are extracted by mosquito. Within the gut of mosquito, the gametocytes form male and female gametes. They unite to form zygote. Zygote forms oocytes, which produces large number of sporozoites. These sporozoites now migrate to salivary gland of the mosquito, and from there are injected into the bloodstream of human, thus repeating the cycle. Now, diagnosis and treatment. Diagnosis of malaria can be done in two different ways. First one is microscopic study of blood smear, and second one is nucleic acid amplification technique. Among these two, the first one, that is microscopic study of blood smear, gives result in few days, whereas nucleic acid amplification technique gives result in few hours. So both the diagnosis technique can be followed depending on the condition. Treatment of malaria. Treatment of malaria involves artemisinin based combination therapies, that is ACTs. WHO has recommended 5 different combinations of ACTs, which include artesunate, sulfadoxine, pyrimethamine, quinine, etc. Prevention and control of malaria. Prevention can be done by using mosquito net or insect repellent and spraying insecticides, draining the stagnant water near your area, and biocontrol can be done by using GAMBUSIA fish. GAMBUSIA fish is the fish which feeds on larvae of insects. So it does not allow insects to grow in stagnant water. So if we treat water with Gambusia fish, we can reduce the chances of development of mosquitoes and we can be safe. I hope you understood malaria. Now let's start with the next disease. Next disease is amoebiasis. It is also known as amoebic dysentery. It is a common infection of human gastrointestinal tract. It affects 15% of population of India. It is caused by protist named ant amoeba histolytica. Now, life cycle of ant amoeba histolytica. To understand life cycle, we must know that it consists of two main parts. One is the cyst and second one is trophozoite. The cyst form is the one when ingested causes disease. It gives rise to trophozoites. In human body, it can enter inside the gastrointestinal tract. We already studied about it. In second condition, it can enter inside the liver, causing liver abscess. We'll see it in video. Ant amoeba starts its life cycle as a free-living cyst in the water. When a human drinks contaminated water, the cyst enters the gut. Here it divides and redivides, feeds and then re-insists itself. After entering inside the gut, this quadrinucleated cyst ruptures its cyst wall. This process is called existment. Now, this existed amoeba is called as metacystic amoeba. This metacystic amoeba undergoes division, that is asexual reproduction, and forms 8 different trophozoites. This trophozoite now undergoes binary division, that is binary fission, forming 2 trophozoites. Now these trophozoites will form new quadrinucleated cysts. This cyst starts formation of cyst wall. This process is called re-encystment. When the cyst passes out of the body into the water, the life cycle of ant amoeba is complete. In rare cases, it attacks the intestinal wall, eating the tissues from there. It travels through the blood into liver. There, it feeds on liver cells, thus creating the abscess of dead material. Signs and symptoms. It includes diarrhea, flatulence, stool with mucus, abdominal pains or cramps. These are very common signs and symptoms. Passing of blood with stool is common in severe cases. It can lead to hepatomegaly if the cyst enters inside liver. In liver, it causes liver abscess with fever and pain in right abdomen. Now, mode of transmission. It can be transferred through fecal-oral route, eating with dirty hands, contaminated food and water. Now, diagnosis of ant histolytica. Diagnosis can be done by microscopic examination of the stool sample. Treatment: metronidazole and tinidazole can destroy the Entamoeba histolytica in the digestive tract as well as other tissue. Now, prevention and control. It can be prevented by washing hands with hot water and soap after using toilets or after changing the diapers of babies. Drink boiled water or chlorinated and filtered water. Avoid eating unhygienic food. Vegetables must be properly washed and then properly cooked. Proper sanitary facilities should be available, including proper sewage disposal. Hope you understood the topic. That's all for the day. Thank you. Take care of yourself.